Hello, today I'm going to show you how to do this simple crochet blanket. It's a color block blanket with the border, and this one's going to be really heavy. So we're going to use Hometown USA yarn, and we're going to be using a 10mm crochet hook, which is like an N. And here I'm just showing you the two different types of hooks that I have. This tutorial is going to go by, it's kind of long, but I wanted to put in a lot of detail, so I hope that it helps. And now, the Hometown USA yarn that I used here, you can purchase this at Walmart, and it's relatively inexpensive. I used a total of 11 balls of this yarn, and because of the way this yarn is created, this blanket is really heavy. So my husband really loved it because it's thick and it's heavy. Okay, so I'm going to try to do this tutorial for my beginners again. So here I'm going to show you how to do your slip knot. So in order to do a slip knot, you're going to get the tail end of your yarn in your hand, create yourself like a small gun. You're going to wrap the yarn around 2 times. So here you are, 1 and 2. Pull that bottom loop over the top loop, creating like a small X. Do you see that there? And then you're going to tuck that top piece underneath the bottom piece. So I always say it's easier to look at the camera, look at the screen to get it, but I hope that helps. Okay, so then you're going to go ahead and insert your slip knot onto your crochet hook and then kind of pull it to get some tension. You want it to be able to still glide easily up and down the crochet hook, and then you're going to go ahead and create your foundation chain. So to create a foundation chain, you're going to yarn over, which just basically means you're going to put the yarn behind the hook and pull through. So I'll do that a few times so that you can see how to do a foundation chain. This project is going to call for, I did a foundation chain of 68 to get the blanket that you saw in the beginning, but you can change this up by just making sure that you do a foundation chain in an even number. So I did 68, but if you wanted to do 44, you wanted to do 40, you could still get a really pretty blanket just depending on what size you're looking for. Okay, so there I was just showing you the back side of the foundation chain and the front side, and I'll show you that again later. So just continue to do your yarning over, basically just placing that yarn behind the crochet hook and then pulling through, and that creates your foundation chain. Okay, and then of course for this tutorial I am going to not make my blanket as big. I kind of just want to show you how to do it, but if you follow along with what I'm showing you and whatever size you decide to do, you'll be able to get the blanket to the length and the width that you want. Okay. So there, I'm just kind of showing you the way I hold my hook, and as I've stated in other videos, this type of, the way you hold the yarn and the way you hold the hook, that's really up to you and how you become comfortable with crocheting. The main thing I want to just stress here is make sure you're not pulling it really tight. You want to make sure that you have good tension because you're going to have to work back through your foundation chain. And then also you want to make sure that you're creating your loops from the bottom portion of your crochet hook. So I'll try to show you that here. You see, if I create my hook up towards the tip, it's going to make my stitch really small, and it's going to be hard for me to work back through that. So in order for you to keep even tension, you want to make sure you kind of bring your yarn down onto the barrel of the hook. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so once you have your foundation chain the way you want it, or the length that you want it, you're going to then start your first stitch. And what we're doing here is we're going to do a double crochet. So you're going to count over to the fourth chain, and that's where you're going to place your foundation, your first stitch. So you see you have a flat side that has V's, and I find it easier to count looking at the V's, but when I had it flipped over earlier, you'll see like little knots. Some people find it easier to count the knots. So here I'm just showing you over and over again because that's the hardest part, is trying to count the V stitches. So once you learn how to count, then you'll be able to really do more projects. So here we are, we're going to create our first stitch, which is going to be a double crochet. So just watch there, and then I'll show you again how to do a double crochet stitch. Okay. So you're going to yarn over, which means placing the yarn behind the crochet hook. You're going to find the hole, place your crochet hook through that hole, and then you're going to have 3 loops. You're going to pull off the first 2, you're going to yarn over again and pull off the bottom 2. Okay, let's do it again. Yarn over, insert your crochet hook into the next stitch, so that next open space. Okay, you see there you have the 3 on your hook. Yarn over again, you're going to pull off the first 2, yarn over again, and then you're going to pull off the bottom 2. Okay, I'm going to show you again. See there? I hope you can see it easily. Okay. Yarn over again, pulling off the first 2, yarn over again, and then pulling off the second 2. And you're going to continue doing that all the way down your row. Just be careful with this type of yarn, this Hometown USA yarn. It's really thick, so just want to make sure that you keep all of the woven strands together. Okay, I just switched crochet hooks. I think I was trying to show you a different look, depending on whatever kind of hook that you have. But they're both, the white one and this aluminum one, they're both 10 millimeters. And just continue to work that double crochet all the way down your foundation chain. So however long you're making your blanket, whatever width you're making your blanket, that's how many double crochets you're going to have. Okay. And just keep going all the way down. And like I said earlier, this blanket is going to use 2 stitches. We're going to do the double crochet and we're going to do a single crochet stitch. So we're going to alternate between those 2 through the entire length of the blanket. I thought that this was a really fun blanket to create, and I wanted to show you guys something a little bit different than the half double crochet blankets. And see there how this yarn kind of pulls apart. But it's not hard yarn to work with. Just keep that in mind that it could happen. So there you go. I'm just showing you what your foundation chain, your first row, will look like. Okay, so you're gonna complete a chain and then turn your work. And this is how we're gonna start our second row. Okay, so you see that first hole there? Because we're doing a single crochet, we're gonna put our first stitch into that very first spot. Okay, you're not going to yarn over. That was a mistake. You're just going to insert your crochet hook into that first spot, pull up a loop, yarn over, and then pull off both of those loops. Okay, I'll show you again. Insert your crochet hook into the next hole. There you are, and then so we're just going to create a single crochet stitch all the way down this row. So your second row is going to be single crochets, and then when we get to the end of this row, we're going to do double crochets, and we're just going to continue doing that back and forth, double crochet, single crochet, double crochet, single crochet, and that's pretty much how this blanket is going to work up. And I'm just going to continue to kind of show you how to do a single crochet stitch. Okay, and here we are towards the end. Okay, we're going to chain 3, and then we're going to turn our work. Okay, you see how we're doing that? We're just going to do a double crochet all the way down the next row. So this is pretty simple once you get the hang of it. I will say that you just want to be consistent. So if you're using the first stitch in all the rows, you want to continue to do that. If you want to use the second stitch, then just keep it consistent, whatever you choose to do. The cool thing about this blanket is, even if at the very end it doesn't look exactly the way you want it, because we're going to add a border to it, it's still going to turn out really pretty. And that's what I like about beginning crochet projects. You don't have to get all mechanical and weird about things. Just kind of work it and make it look as good as you can make it based off of your skill level. So yeah, so just be consistent. I say that in all my videos. Just be consistent. Count your stitches as you're working down your rows to keep your rows even. And then just remember, like I say, we're going to put a border around this blanket, so you're not going to see all the little imperfections that we would see. If you're gifting this to someone, they're not going to see all the imperfections that you would see because you're the one that created it. And if you've got a critical eye and they're looking at it with a critical eye, then that's fine too. But really, it's just about creating something and giving it away or keeping it for yourself, but don't get discouraged. Okay, and I'm just showing you to look for the next hole, the next stitch, in order to create your double crochet. I was really quite surprised how heavy this blanket was. It was super heavy. I didn't realize that. The Hometown USA yarn is a bulky yarn. It's a 6 super bulky yarn, and because I use so many skeins of yarn, it really was heavy. But like I said, my husband wanted a heavier blanket, so this is perfect for the winter. And I think this yarn is like $2.97 or $3 or something like that. It's not that expensive, so you can create a whole project for less than $30, which is really neat because this blanket turned out really big. Sorry. So that's how it's looking, that little piece, but the pattern is really cute. And I found this pattern off of Pinterest. It's called Rescue Paw Designs. They had the free pattern, so I'll put that information in the description box below. But yeah. So here I'm going to show you how to what am I showing you here? I'm going to show you how to add yarn, to add some yarn, because we're going to run out of yarn here. So I'm going to show you how to do that. Okay, so in this example here, I'm going to show you how you would either add yarn or change yarn, and you would do it the same way. Normally I would just tie the yarn together. I would tie the two, because they're the same colors, I would just tie it together. But here I'm going to show you how you can add yarn. So here we go. You're going to, make like a loop, and you're going to just slide it over the crochet hook. Okay, and here I'm just going to show you how I kind of hold it. I don't want to confuse you, but basically I'm just tucking that loop behind my pointer finger and just holding on to the neighboring stitch. I don't know if that makes sense, guys, but just kind of look there. But basically you're just going to create a loop and then just continue to crochet, just like you were using the same yarn as before, if that makes sense. Just rewind it and look again, because I think it's easier to see it versus me trying to explain it with words. And what I like to do is just kind of weave those two ends in while I'm working the project. So do you see how I'm kind of holding those two tail ends down, and then I'm kind of crocheting over top of those? That way it kind of buries itself into the work and it's a little bit seamless, if that makes sense. If you're not comfortable doing that, that is okay. Like I said, because this is the same color yarn, you could just tie it, you know, tie the two end pieces together and then continue to crochet. That little knot won't make a big difference. But I was just kind of trying to show you guys how you can add yarn. And I used 3 different colors. I used a light tan, a dark brown, and almost like a beige color to create the blanket, so I could have like a color block. So I kind of used, I did like 6 skeins of one color, then I went and did 4 skeins, and then I did 2 skeins. So I kind of had like varying blocks of color. And here I am just kind of showing you how I continued to work after I added the yarn. And see here, you see the 2 tail ends there? You could just cut that. I'm a little anal, so I tied a little bit of a knot, and then I'm going to cut it. Okay. Now, if you want to, you can be completely finished with the blanket. I am going to add a border. So in order to add a border to this blanket, all you're going to do is just crochet a double crochet in every single hole along the blanket. So I don't want to complicate it, but basically you're just looking for a hole, see like there, and you're going to just make a double crochet stitch in that hole. I've seen a lot of people do borders, and I think they kind of overcomplicate it some. You don't have to do that. Just find a hole and place a double crochet, and you're going to do that all the way down and around the entire blanket. You see that? I'm just looking for holes and I'm placing a double crochet. So if you didn't want to add a border, your blanket would be done. If you want to add a border, then you just have to remember you have to add some yarn. You may have to get another ball of yarn and then just go around it. Just go around the blanket. When you get to the corners of the blanket, you're going to have to do something a little different. I'll show you here, but basically you're just going to add 3 double crochets into the corner spot, and I hope that makes sense, but that kind of allows the blanket to curve. Okay, so I mean, that's really it. This blanket is really simple. You're going to do the 2 stitches throughout the entire blanket, and then if you want to add a border, you can. And I think that's pretty much it. I'll show you again at the end what the blanket looks like. And if you have any questions, please feel free to ask those questions in the comment section below. I try to stay really active with my videos. But yeah, and when you see any tail ends, just kind of weave them in as you go. And that's the curve of the blanket. So anyway, this blanket was really fun to make. I'll leave some more description information in the description box below. And so again, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. If you like the video, please like it. And I'll show you again a clip on what it looks like laying on the bed. It's like I said, it's a really heavy blanket, and it was really fun to make. And I think it took me about maybe 2 weeks to make it, if even that. So there you are. This is the blanket. So I want to thank you so much again for watching. I think it turned out really great, and this is a really heavy blanket, and I will leave the measurements also in the blanket, on the blanket below. Okay guys, thanks again for watching. Please be sure to check out my last video. I just showed you how to make a chain scarf, and that could be a really cute gift for someone for the holiday, or you can just make it for yourself. Talk to you later. Bye.